Hi, it's Tim Constantine for the Washington Times. If you're in Washington, D.C., or anywhere around the country for that matter, impeachment has been the word for, well, since January 6th. And as we talk about impeachment, the number one question has been, can you really impeach a president who is no longer president? I thought we ought to talk to a constitutional expert. We have someone who is not only a United States senator and an attorney, but he served as the Solicitor General of the state of Texas. And what that means is he argued before the Supreme Court from time to time. He knows the Constitution, its background, its history, and its purpose, arguably as well as anyone. Joining me right now, Senator Ted Cruz. Senator, how are you?
Tim, I'm doing terrific. It's great to be with you.
Let's talk about the history of this. What are the origins of the opportunity, the possibility of removing a president from office?
Well, it turns out the question of whether a president can be impeached after he leaves office is a question that's actually been subject to some real debate. And as a matter of the text of the Constitution, I think it's a close question. I think there are good arguments on both sides. If you look at the text of the Constitution, the Constitution provides that the House shall have the sole power of impeachment. And then it says the Senate shall have the sole power to try all impeachments. Those are the only two times in the Constitution that it uses the words sole power. And it stands out for the degree to which it entirely gives the authority of the first part, the impeachment, to the House, and of the second part, the trial, to the Senate. It's worth noting, by the way, impeach is one of the most misused words, and most Americans don't understand it.
Right.
So Donald Trump has been impeached twice, because what to impeach means, basically the House is like a grand jury. It's the equivalent of being indicted. It is charges have been brought. And so once the House votes out articles of impeachment, they have impeached. Where we are now is the Senate is conducting a trial. And if at the end of the trial, Donald Trump were convicted, then he would be removed from office, or he could be barred from subsequently running for office. But those are two steps. It only takes a majority to impeach in the House. It takes a 2/3 majority to convict in the Senate. So the question is, can former presidents be impeached? There's language in the Constitution. For example, there's reference to the president. And some scholars have made the argument that Donald Trump today is not the president. He is a former president, but the president is Joseph Biden. They've also argued the provision I referenced a minute ago that where the Constitution says when the president is convicted, he shall be removed, and they argue shall be removed. Well, you can't remove Donald Trump because he's not president anymore, and therefore former presidents cannot be subject to impeachment or trial.
Let's put this in perspective too, because George Washington was elected in 1789. Joe Biden is now the 46th president of the United States. How many times has the House determined it needed to use impeachment as a tool to get rid of the president?
Well, unfortunately, so very few, but 3 times in the last 20 years. So the last time it did so before that was the Civil War. Right. And it does reflect today's increasing politicization. The House of Representatives impeached Bill Clinton, and now the House has impeached Donald Trump twice. And I do fear we're moving into a politically weaponized environment where almost any time the House is of one party and the president is of the other, impeachment will be a tool they use. And I think that's really a corruption of the constitutional system.
Let's explore that just a little bit, because many would say Bill Clinton's impeachment was political. What are the similarities or differences between Clinton's impeachment and this Trump impeachment number 2?
Well, I think as a technical matter, Clinton's impeachment was permissible. He was impeached not for having oral sex with Monica Lewinsky. He was impeached for perjury and obstruction of justice because he gave a deposition under oath in which he lied about it. Perjury is a felony, obstruction of justice. He hid evidence and tried to pressure witnesses to lie about it. And so there's no doubt that those are serious crimes. They are felonies, and I believe they are high crimes and misdemeanors. They fall within the conduct for which impeachment is possible. That being said, I think virtually everyone looking back recognizes the Bill Clinton impeachment was a mistake. That it was, I think the American people looked at it and it was sordid. It was not admirable conduct, but they didn't believe having consensual sex with a young woman was the sort of topic that should justify undoing a Democratic election for president. And it ended up, impeachment very much redounded to Bill Clinton's benefit. And I think the American people rallied behind him and said, okay, this is garbage. And you saw his popularity go up, and you saw House Republicans, their popularity drop significantly. I think that lesson was learned on the Republican side. It's one of the reasons why 8 years of Barack Obama's presidency, you didn't see Republicans trying to impeach him. I think a lot of Republicans learned, look, there were lots of things Obama did that were wrong, that we disagreed with, that were bad policy, but impeachment is designed for really qualitatively different conduct. It is conduct on the order of treason or bribery. What the Constitution says is treason, bribery, or other high crimes or misdemeanors.
Fast forward to 2021, and we see January 6th, there's no question. Disgraceful conduct, attacking the Capitol, all of that. There's no one arguing that that's acceptable behavior. No one is suggesting that's anything short of disgusting. The question is, did the president cause that? Did Trump cause those people to go do that?
Well, and to cut to the end result of this impeachment trial is not in dispute. Donald Trump is going to be acquitted. That we are nowhere close to the 67 votes needed to confirm. Every single senator in that chamber knows that Donald Trump is going to be acquitted. The House managers know Donald Trump is going to be acquitted. Every reporter covering the trial knows Donald Trump is going to be acquitted. Where we are today, you and I are sitting talking, it is Friday morning. The House managers have just rested their case yesterday. Trump's defense lawyers are getting ready to present their case. At this point, the House managers had 16 hours to present their affirmative case. 90% of what they presented was video. It was really powerful testimony about the horrific terrorist attack that occurred on January 6th. And listen, all of us know that. We were here for it. We experienced that firsthand. And there's not a person in that chamber who disagrees that was a despicable terrorist act, and every single violent criminal who committed acts of violence, especially those who assaulted police officers or who murdered Officer Sicknick, should be fully prosecuted and should go to jail for a very, very long time. There's complete agreement on that. The bizarre thing is the House managers spent virtually all their time proving a point that all 100 senators agree with, which is this was a horrific terrorist attack. They spent very little time even arguing the central question before the Senate, which is whether President Trump committed high crimes or misdemeanors. There's one count that is alleged in the articles of impeachment, and that is incitement. And they had, in the whole 16-hour argument, they had a total of 15 minutes where they argued that he was guilty of incitement. And they laid out, look, the president's speech on January 6th, if you look at what he said, House Democrats give lots of emphasis to the fact that the president said, we need to fight. We need to fight like hell. Let me tell you, Tim, if saying fight or even fight like hell is now incitement, then you better be prepared to charge every single politician in America with incitement, because there is not, down to your local candidate for dog catcher, I promise you every candidate who's ever given a stump speech has said we need to fight. That is ubiquitous in political discourse in America. Of the 100 senators, all 100 of us have said we need to fight when urging people to come out and vote and speak and be involved in the political process. That doesn't remotely meet the threshold.
Let me ask this, because
yeah.
you described the process. You described how the Senate acts as the jury in this trial, and they're supposed to be an impartial jury. Of your 99 fellow senators, how many were impartial from the get-go on this?
Virtually none, if not none. But I actually will press back on you. That's another area where I think people misunderstand the impeachment process a little bit, which is that senators are actually not jurors. It's interesting. If you look at the Bill Clinton impeachment trial, Democratic Senator Tom Harkin actually stood up and raised an objection where senators had been referred to as jurors. And Tom Harkin said, I object. We are not under the Constitution jurors. And Chief Justice William Rehnquist, who was my former boss on the Supreme Court, he actually ruled in favor of Senator Harkin and said the senator is correct that senators are not jurors. The 100 senators are judges. We are the court. We determine not just questions of fact, which is what jurors do, but we also determine questions of law. But here's the point to understand also. Listen, the framers understood, especially with the impeachment of the president, that all 100 senators are going to know the president. All of us are going to have worked with the president. There are going to be senators from the president's party. There are going to be senators from the opposing party. Pat Leahy, who is presiding. So when the president is impeached, the Chief Justice presides. Because Trump is not the president today, Pat Leahy, right, a liberal Democratic senator from Vermont, is presiding. Pat Leahy has already said before this trial started, Donald Trump must be convicted. Now, I want you to think, when's the last time you saw a trial judge who said at the beginning, we need to convict the defendant?
Senator, we will leave it there. I appreciate you taking the time with us, the expertise, and the knowledge.
Thank you, Tim. Always a pleasure. And by the way, I discussed this at great length on my own podcast, Verdict with Ted Cruz, and I take everyone inside the strategy session I had with the president's defense lawyers. So check that out as well.
Verdict with Ted Cruz. We'll give it 2 thumbs up. Thank you, Senator.
Thanks, Tim.